opinions stated in this podcast do not reflect the opinions of the Alestle or SIUE as a whole. Alright, welcome back to another episode of Alestle After Hours. Sam Muren joining you for episode 172. It's kind of crazy to think that we're 172 episodes in our second week back from spring break. Really our third week back. We're kind of cheating on that. We took an extra week off. But all of that aside, we're back into our episodes without our editorial staff. And so I'm not alone, though. Not alone in studio today. We have a very special guest. The SIUE student body president, Jenna Nestor, joins me. Jenna, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really good. Thank you.
And Jenna is joining me because recently, within the last, 2 weeks, we had elections that took place for the student body and winning her second term as student body president. And, I kind of just wanted to talk to you about that, just kind of what it's like going into a second term. Obviously, the first term, you learn things, I'm sure, and how you can kind of carry that experience into term number 2.
Yeah, so I'm super excited to be able to be elected again. I absolutely love this job, and I just want to continue with it. Throughout my first term, I learned a lot. There was a lot of mistakes I made, but I'm hoping to be able to learn and grow from that. I'm hoping that once summer starts, I can just hop right into it. Last year, it kind of took me a bit throughout the summer and even the beginning of the fall semester, just getting connected with everyone, being acquainted with my responsibilities. But I'm happy to jump right in the summer and get working. So
yeah, and maybe you can talk about that. Obviously, summer's, well, I'd like to assume it's a slower time period for student government. I could be wrong in that. But do you feel like this summer you'll have more time to prepare instead of kind of learning the transition game of like, oh, this is what student body president's like, and maybe implement more ideas that you have throughout the summer with that gap kind of between the academic years?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with the summer, I won't be as busy as I would be if I were in school. So I'm happy to be able to get that free time and be able to work. I'm happy to not be able to learn to transition again. With transition to student body president, there's not a lot of advice carried down. It's kind of just like you go with what you go with. It's your ideas. You kind of make it your own. So that was kind of tricky at first, learning those ropes. But no, I'm excited to be able to work throughout the summer, get my ideas going and moving and not having to wait till school's back in session, and a lot more things are going on. So
awesome. Now, there is a little bit of change on the executive side. The vice presidency role is changing. Can you talk a little bit about a new face working in that role, and then also kind of some of the comforting things that you'll have some other familiar faces, though, still on the executive board?
Yeah, so I'm super excited for our Senate that has been elected, and also our new vice president that has been elected, David Ferrier. I ran with David in our coalition, and he was absolutely amazing throughout Senate this year. Very active. He was our fee commissioner, and has just really proven himself. So I'm excited to be able to work with him. I'm sad about Mitch not continuing, but of course we got to get some new faces in there, so I'm ready for that.
And maybe talk about, obviously you mentioned on the ticket that Mo was running for trustee. He wins re-election. He wasn't on your ticket. What's that kind of process like, and how does that dynamic really affect going forward?
Mo is trustee already. He knows those ropes. He already has those connections. So I'm sure being able to continue his position, he will be comfortable in that, and continue to be able to advocate for students in a way that we need. So
very cool. So let's maybe give some background to the election process. What's it like running? How do you put together a campaign? Maybe all the details that not everyone sees up front. Can you kind of give us some insights to that? And maybe the stress that it puts on you.
Yeah, absolutely. Campaign season is absolutely one of my favorite seasons of all time. I'm a marketing major, so it's really up my alley. We started campaigning, throwing ideas around back in January, with who I wanted to work with, and really color scheme and posting and what new ideas we wanted to bring to the table that haven't been seen before in an election. And I think we were able to do that pretty well. This year we had our campaign manager, Lucia Knapp. She was the previous vice president. She did an amazing job in her term, and she did an amazing job as our campaign manager. So it was really fun to be able to work with her on that. But yeah, I thought we did a lot of new ideas to the table. Being able to get endorsements from organizations was huge. Being able to have their support and be able to go to organizations and talk to them about our mission and hearing firsthand their issues and how we could address them when we won. So yeah, campaign season was awesome. It's very stressful. I mean, you're constantly, you're tabling your outreach. You want to maintain this certain image, and students are coming up to you, and you might not even know who they are, but they're ready to address their concerns, and you have to be ready and be able to deal with that. So
Yeah, maybe can you give us a pro and con, maybe the most stressful thing of campaigning, and then one of the most enjoyable things about campaigning?
I would say they kind of go hand in hand. I would say the most stressful thing is getting like tables and stuff. You're kind of competing for those, especially this year. We had a lot of competition, which was great to see. But getting tables out there and then talking to people and addressing their concerns, but also on the bright side, you're hearing their concerns. You know that students are engaged with student government, which is exactly what I want, is more engagement. And in turn, I'm able to advocate for them. So
Yeah, and that kind of leads into the next part where it's like, it seems like we had a very competitive election season. Lots of very good campaigns were brought up, lots of senators running for positions as well. Talk about the competitiveness for your side. And obviously, when you're sitting the incumbent, it can be, typically it's tougher in the broad scheme of things. But how does it feel on the competitive side of just running against the competition, I guess?
I think it's always hard running against people that you know would do a good job as well. But being able to know that you can also do a good job of being confident in yourself. Last year when I ran, I didn't have any contestants, so it was almost like I felt an imposter syndrome. I didn't feel like I earned it at all, and I really had to deal with that and be able to know that I was confident and that I could be able to do this job. But having competition this year almost made it a little more fun. I'm not sure if they think that as well, but I had a great time. And this year, I know that I'm confident in this position and I can do it. So
Very cool. Well, let's talk about some of the things that the Alestle has reported on going on with student government. Recently, the ASL program, there was an endorsement of their kind of push to get a minor here at SIUE. Kind of talk about how that meeting went, just what led to the student body voting and kind of that endorsement of that movement, and just kind of your personal feelings on the proposition that they're bringing forward.
yeah, absolutely. So it all started with our head justice, Drew Evans. He took an ASL course, and so he's kind of already connected in that community. And a lot of students brought to his attention that they wanted a minor, they wanted more classes, they wanted to learn more ASL, get a certificate, just more opportunities in that program. And they were able to advocate that at the meeting. We actually had probably the most student reps we've had in a very long time. Definitely not something that I've ever seen before. Around like 50 people, and we were able to get Jerry to come speak as well, a deaf professor, and he spoke as our guest speaker, and he brought a lot of insightful information, something that we didn't know or that we weren't seeing because we're not a part of that program. And then we were lucky enough to have 5 students also speak at open forum and share their personal experiences. So we got kind of the faculty side, but we also got the student experience as well, which I was really grateful for. Yeah, and moving forward, we have already had a meeting with Dean Leonard. It was myself and Drew Evans, and we were able to kind of advocate, kind of get his side, his perspective as well, which I really appreciate. And moving forward, I know that they plan on meeting and discussing this further. Yeah, and I hope that everything works out for them, and then we're still actively engaged in that conversation as well.
Yeah, and maybe you can give some insight. What are those conversations like? Is it just like what you are witnessing from the meeting that you had with the advocates, and then like, are you relaying that, or are you advocating yourself? How do those kind of work behind the doors?
Yeah, absolutely. So Jerry was able to give us the proposal that he first had handed or recommended to the provost and Dean Leonard. And we were able to read that over, fully comprehend his side of the story, his needs and his wants, and also the students' needs and wants, and able to put myself in his shoes and other shoes. And we were able, it's more of like we advocated, I would say. I felt like I kind of put myself in the shoes and like I'm advocating for this because I see their side. But then you also have to understand that there is always another side, especially with faculty, and you might not know everything all the time. So it was great to be able to get that insight and have a real conversation, being able to express concerns and get answers because of that.
Moving forward, obviously more than just that, although that's a pretty big thing that's been going on recently. We also had the police student outreach program that's really been pushed. I know student government tabled with SIUE police, and I believe it's Lieutenant Dustin Bergman who's been kind of heavily involved in this. Talk about, there was a social media campaign with this, the tabling, and just kind of what that partnership has really been all about for you guys.
Yeah, so coming into my term, I really just wanted to be able to connect with different departments on campus and those who kind of have like a bad reputation or weren't fully connected with students in the way they should be. I wanted to be able to expand on that. That's kind of, I worked with parking services first, and then I quickly moved to the police department in November, and I was able to get in contact with Chief Goodwin, where we talked about ways that we could share the duties and responsibilities of our police officers to kind of help students understand what they could be used for, and also just kind of put the human behind the badge. So I worked with Lieutenant Bergman and Chief Goodwin, and we were able to come up with kind of a social media campaign where we gave a tour of the car, tour of the station, kind of expanded on their duties and what they do day to day. We did kind of a meet the team post as well, which I thought was good, kind of like recognizing that they are officers on campus and we see them, totally go say hi. And yeah, we did a tabling to kind of get more connected with students, also face to face, handed out some pretty cool promotional items, and I plan to continue working with them in the future. I hope to do some sort of campus safety walk so we can recognize areas on campus that need to be addressed, whether it be low lighting or not wheelchair accessible, etc.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. And obviously they have their social dogs that just,
oh yeah,
who doesn't get drawn to that? Well, I guess this kind of leads into some of the recent successes, obviously, for you. This was going into the election season, now after. And you mentioned at the beginning, you know, you have a bit more time. You're a bit more seasoned in this role. What comes next, and furthermore, with whether it's with these groups or others, and how do you kind of plan to tackle those ambitions, I guess?
Yeah, so I totally plan to keep on connecting with different departments that need to be connected with. This year I was able to connect with the Student Success Center, Parking Services, the Bursar Office, Campus Police. I want to continue doing that. Right now I'm in the works with Campus Rec to possibly extend fitness center hours, which has been a huge issue on campus, I think, for a lot of commuters, people with families, full-time jobs, etc. So I'm happy to be able to work on that as well. Also with continuing on the Student Success Center, kind of just like opening it up to 24 hours like it was originally stated in the referendum. And yeah, just kind of continuing that work, but also being able to work internally with our senators and our exec board, because I can only do so much. So I really want our senators to be engaged this year and go after issues that students are already addressing and being able to get recognition for what they do, but also have students recognize what student government does. I feel like a lot of people don't know what we do. They think, oh, we just pass out Scantrons, but we do so much more of that. So kind of just getting in front of the students for sure.
Very cool. Okay, Jenna, this is kind of our relatively closing session, although sometimes it opens up the can of worms of like 30 more minutes depending on what we talk about. But this is called our obsession section. We do this at the end of every episode, and basically it's what have you been obsessing over the past week or past little while. For example, mine, I kind of cheated. I picked two things, which this happens a lot. But I picked the St. Louis Cardinals because it's beginning of baseball season. They've been doing very well to start the year, and Wall-E because I recently rewatched the all-time greatest animated movie, which can't miss it. So if you haven't seen Wall-E, you should go watch it, by the way. But so do you have anything that you've been obsessing? Could be anything big, small, your favorite coffee of the week, or something that's really exciting going on.
I would say mine are probably more small. Right now I'm rewatching Gilmore Girls.
Okay.
And I know that's more of like a fall show, but it's such a comfort show for me. I've watched it probably like 8 times. So I'm rewatching that. So I definitely say that's an obsession for me. But also iced chai. I found a new love for it. I always liked it, but I'm like really getting into it now.
It's one of those lost, forgotten favorites that you're like, oh my gosh, I never realized
Absolutely.
how good this was. No, that's real. And speaking of like Gilmore Girls, that's funny because it's like this is a stressful time, I think, for students. So like, it doesn't matter if it's a fall show. I think if it's a comfort, that's kind of, I'm trying to think. There was my mom, when she said when she was sick, they always watched Mary Poppins. And it didn't matter like what time of year it was, they always watched that. So I was like, well, that's kind of a weird thing, but yeah, you saying that reminds me of that. So very cool. Well, Jenna, I want to give you a big thank you for coming on the show. Congratulations on winning re-election. Hopefully you and student government will do more successful things, and we can bring you back and talk about those. So
Absolutely.
don't forget, you can pick up a copy of the Alestle anywhere on our newsstands. You can also read our stories on www.alestlelive.com. You can read about all these things that we talked about here today in way more depth, and we just kind of covered the top of those. So do check those out, and don't forget, you can watch Alestletics, or not watch, you can listen to Alestletics on YouTube or Spotify, which is where Audrey and I will talk about our sports here on SIUE. Lots to talk about. Baseball is doing very well recently, still hitting runs like they did last weekend. So don't forget to check that out, as well as all of our social media on TikTok, Instagram. You list it, it'll be there. The Alestle, covering all things SIUE. And don't forget, you can join us next week right here on Alestle After Hours and Alestletics here on Spotify or YouTube. And we'll see you again soon. Bye.